Hello, my name is Georgia Pollard, and today I'll be informing you on the topic of injecting drug use in inner-city slums. Over this presentation, I will discuss all the factors that are influencing positively and negatively this issue and the overall effect it has on our population. Define the population group you are studying. There are more than 200,000 slums in the world. Each slum's population ranges from a few hundred to more than 1 million people. Slums are defined as a residential area with substandard housing that are overcrowded and poorly maintained. This creates an unhealthy, unsafe, and socially undesirable living environment for inhabitants. The population group inhabiting these slums are those of affordability and homelessness, due to the developing world ultimately ignoring these slums entirely. Some of the main physical attributes of the slum areas are substandard and poorly maintained houses of high density and congestion, overcrowding, insanitary conditions, absence of basic amenities like water supply, drainage and sewage disposal of garbage. All of these unsuitable styles of living, I think, contribute to the way in which these inner city slums populations have formed and their overall lifestyles within the slums. Describe the issue. Injecting drugs is a method of illicit drug use. This method allows the drugs to be injected directly into the body through the use of a vein, into a muscle, or just under the skin. Viruses caught through blood, including HIV and hepatitis, can be transmitted through unclean injecting paraphernalia. The drugs mainly used within the inner city slums can include alcohol with 46.5%, cannabis with 8.9%, opiates with 4.9%, and sedatives and hypnotic drugs with 2.0%, solvents 0.1%, and cocaine 0.1%. Even though these drugs are injected with low socioeconomic slums, communities, drugs such as heroin and cocaine are most prominently used and injected. Based upon the Nairobi Urban Inner City Slum Survey, adolescent males are more than 20 times more likely to engage in drugs and 5 times more likely to consume alcohol than girls. These statistics also relate to drug use within injection rates within young adolescent males in Nairobi. It is an extremely serious issue with many inner city slums globally and have statistically shown to grow due to higher drug consumption rates. If this injection of drugs within these slums continues, so will the growth of the population occupying these environments. Explore the social determinants of the underlying issue. Slums are common in developing countries and can be formed in various parts of the world for many different reasons. Drug dependence is the main reason. These reasons can include economic disadvantage, low socio-economic status, drug dependence, low education attainment, unemployment, homelessness, low-level education, adverse child experiences, peer drug use, interparental conflicts, stress and depression, and racial discrimination. These are only some of the reasons as to why slums exist and continue to exist. These causes also influence our social determinants of health. 3 main social determinants of health I will address is low socio-economic status, unemployment, and racial discrimination, due to these having the most major impact of the population within slums globally. Low socio-economic status can impact the access to facilities and mental well-being. Therefore, children from low socio-economic families can be more likely to indulge in deviant behaviour. Mental well-being and access to facilities as social determinants of health path the ways for a life of injecting drugs. Unemployment can also lead to welfare dependency, low confidence, economic disadvantage, no self-esteem, and also social exclusion within society. This can lead to being dependent with drug addiction. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who faced racial discrimination were proven to have been more likely to become involved in drug use due to being described as a disadvantaged group within society. All of these contributes to the reasons why injecting drugs in the inner city slums continues to be a global issue. Describe the barrier that may prevent behaviour change. There are various amounts of barriers that exist to prevent individuals from changing their behaviours. Frequent drug use and addiction to drugs can dramatically affect any individual's life. People who inject drugs are known to engage in various forms of practices that put their bodies at risk. These risks can include various infections and potential overdose due to misuse. For an everyday injecting drug user, there can be many barriers in preventing behavioural change. Within inner city slums, there is shown to be a lot more barriers to overcome. This is due to poorer hygiene, lower education, and overall support systems. The UNSW Drug Policing Modelling Program from 2019 reported that to have $1.1 billion put towards enforcing drug laws, $361 million on drug treatment, and $156 million on the prevention of drug use. This is an extremely significant step in a positive movement towards the minimisation of drug use. Injecting environments or shooting galleries are used environments specifically for catering for injectors to inject drugs, to fight the issue of sharing syringes, therefore fighting potential disease. Shooting galleries themselves are barriers that individuals must overcome to constantly change their behaviours and overcome them. Opioid substitution therapy is an intervention that was introduced to combat the issue of injecting illicit drugs. It allows for participants to gradually stabilise themselves with the drug with minimal withdrawal symptoms. This reduces harm associated with injecting by stopping the likelihood of overdose and infections. Explore and critique some of the interventions that have taken place. Throughout my presentation, I have spoken about the importance of these interventions and positive effects they have on stimulating change. There are also negatives in regards to these interventions. Some negative towards the use of such interventions as injection environments and opioid substitution therapy can be the encouragement of drug use in addicts with illicit drug problems. They also make it difficult for policymakers within the government to enforce laws against drugs. Critiques for these interventions include creating a uniform regulatory law for safe injection sites, which may be infeasible or at the very least very difficult to eventually achieve. One of the main critiques is the possible increase of the rate of drug-related crime in nearby communities, if these environments of interventions continue. Even though these interventions have shown to be many positive effects towards steps towards change in the relation to the injection of drugs, there is still a long way to go to obtaining a strong solution. Overall, the issue of injecting drugs within inner-city slums is an extremely prominent problem within many communities globally, and even though we have some prevention and intervention methods in place, there still needs to be more done to battle this issue. Thank you.